What's going on, trading card game players? Figs here with Figs Forum, bringing you guys another update on Phantom Knights. So I wanted to go ahead and showcase for you guys some combos today. Also, the list that I've been playing, it's going to have P.U.N.K, Mikankos, and Phantom Knights in it, as well, of course, the Resurgence of Tour Guide. This list does not play Brave or Adventure. You know, we're definitely looking at a more combo-centric build, and it has a lot of options in being able to play. It actually, both lines are a 1.5 card combo. So generally, I mean, you can actually end on a pretty strong board with just one or two cards. So I'll showcase these combos for you guys, as well as discuss any other generic line of combos, because that seems to be one of the most requested thing in the comment sections below, is that people really want to see more combos. And I do have other videos with some other combos in my older videos. Of course, some of them are a little more geared towards some of the, combos that were being played during that time. They may include like Scythe, Adventure Package. There's obviously different lines with P.U.N.K as well, but I wanted to showcase for you guys this specific combo with this deck. I will go over, as I'm doing it, some other generic lines, so you guys can understand exactly what we're doing in terms of what we're trying to achieve with 2 level 3s. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the list real quick. I'll try not to take too much time in discussing too much of it so that we have more time for combos, and then you guys can go over my formula and you guys can share me with you guys like to do with your build. So as always, we'll go ahead and go over the Phantom Knight cards first. We'll go ahead and start with our Shade Brigandine, our 3 traps. So this is all we're playing in terms of traps. Just the 3 Fogblade and the Shade Brigandine. Very self-explanatory. Wings isn't necessary because we don't need the additional name extender, but we do want to have access to Fogblade as much as possible. We do have the 1 Stained Greaves, the 1 Ragged Gloves, the 2 Ancient Cloak, the 3 Boots, and the 3 Torn Scale. So obviously this is the very generic order in terms of what we're playing for the count on the cards. This is obviously the best that we can do. And I don't think it's going to change until, something obviously changes for the deck itself. We are playing Tour Guide, so that's where we're getting most of our combos from. We've got 3 Tour Guide, 1 Sir, 1 Graph. This is part of our 1.5 card combo. Ideally, Tour Guide herself could be a 1 card combo, but we always like to have that additional card in hand because, of course, Torn Scale's ability, is very useful. But ideally, the combo that we're going to be looking for and what we're going to be working towards actually generates a lot of value to hand. So you'll see once I go over the combo, how you're able to get excessive cards, still be able to end on like 4 or 5 cards in hand while doing these combos. So 3 Tour Guide, 1 Sir, 1 Graph. Then we've got the 2 Kagamusha to complement it, because of course we want to be able to chain block. Ash is running around. We want to be able to chain block it, and then obviously that's one of our best ways of chain blocking it. It's also a great extender. Then we'll go over the P.U.N.K package. P.U.N.K package is 3 Itelli, 1 Xiamen, 1 Foxy Tune, and 1 Deer Note. So this is what we're playing in terms of the P.U.N.K package. I don't think anything more is necessary. The deck is already at 45, so we don't want to play any more Xiamens. We don't want to play any other additional names or any other copies, because of course Itelli can special summon Xiamen from hand if necessary. You could also normal summon it and use the ability if you need to, but ideally this is perfectly fine. And we also have more targets for Itelli because we are playing the other 2 Psychics as well. Then we've got the Mikanko line. We've got the 2 Arabesque, the 1 Fire Dance, the Sword Mikanko, and then the Furbolite. I know he's not a Mikanko monster, but he kind of goes with the engine. So the only difference in this from what we're playing in the last list, I decided to drop the Sword down to 1. I think this is the best way of being able to play the deck. Having access to, obviously any of these. This can be summoned from hand, so that's not a big deal. The only thing that we really don't want to draw is just the Renaud, but, we can't do nothing about that. It's kind of one of those only cards that we just really don't want to see. Then for our extenders, we're doing the 2 Danger and the 2 Psychic monsters, Wielder and Tracker. The other targets for Itelli, these are great extenders. I've been really liking the Danger monsters more and more as I've been playing them. Generally, we don't like to go too much, for the RNG, because ideally I always end up hitting a Danger in hand. But we did want to play these because these are the better extenders. They are dark. And they also are a free special summon. They don't require you to have something on board. So obviously one of the biggest issues with Phantom Knights is that since Cash is in the format, they do have Heart, who is able to basically banish your normal summon. So having access to something like this allows us to be able to start our turn off without a normal summon, which adds value to Itelli, adds value to Jackalope or the Dangers. So we definitely want to make sure that we're utilizing things like this. I mean, obviously, if we hit the name, then we're not going to be able to get the effect under Heart, but that's why we play other cards to be able to deal with Heart and stuff like that. So that's it for the monsters. We'll go ahead and go over the spells. So we've got Rhoda, Call By, Foolish. We are playing the Call By since Ash is running around. We don't want nobody to Ash our Bardiche. We want to make sure that we're able to resolve our combo as much as possible. Then we've got 3 Book of Eclipse. Unfortunately, Forbidden Droplet is no longer necessary in the meta at the moment. It did fall out of favor due to the fact that, we have Monster running around who is a walking Echoes Cosmos. So ideally, Book of Eclipse is the better floodgate. So we are playing that. And then we are doing 3 Infinite Impermanents. So we want to make sure that we can deal with the Heart and turn them off, or any other problematic cards that our opponents may throw at us. Book of Eclipse also helps us deal with Ibli. Not that we have too much of a problem with that because we do have a lot of generic links, but ideally we want to make sure that we have some answers. I would play Nib and any other hand traps, but unfortunately we're at 45 and there's not much room for hand traps since we have so much combo. So I wanted to make sure that I do at least have some utility cards that allow me to deal with their opponent's board, but at the same time also be able to, have all the cards that we need for our combo. So we'll go over the extra deck. We've got here our rank 2s, I sold, I don't know how you pronounce that, and Cherubini. These are obviously the best link 2s that we're going for in the deck. This card's actually really good in this deck. I really enjoy it a lot. We've got Bardiche and Unicorn for our link 3s, self-explanatory. Access Code and Appaloosa. These are going to be our higher ranks or rank 4s that we go into for our end board and dealing with our opponent's board. We've got 2 Breaksword and 1 Levier. So the only difference that I could potentially say, unfortunately, since there's not a lot of people playing Dark Monsters, I stopped playing Dark Charmer. I do like Dark Charmer because it is an additional way of being able to climb into Bardiche. And also I do want to consider playing a second Bardiche since obviously we're having our monsters ripped from our extra deck. So I would probably drop Levier for the second Bardiche. Ideally, you don't need him going second. There are other ways of you being able to win the game through, Access Code, as well as some cards in the main board. Being able to basically spam out as many monsters as we can. So this isn't necessarily the, can be changed. Obviously, this is my formula. I would most certainly say that Levier is probably the biggest flex spot in this extra deck because unfortunately we do have a lot of other options in here that we do kind of need what we have. So I would definitely say that Levier could be a second Bardiche if you wanted to avoid getting your stuff banished all the time. Then we've got Nightmare and Zeus. This card is utterly insane, especially in the cast matchup. If your opponent does not have the Book of Eclipse or a Nib, or an Imperm, you're able to pretty much summon this, keep just Book of Mooning all of their special summons, and ideally they have a hard time playing through it. And then we'll go into our synchros. So we play 3 synchros. We are playing the Cupid Pitch, we're playing the Boros Savage, and the Dragon Drive. So the Dragon Drive actually allows us to facilitate our Punk Engine for the 1-card combo, or 1.5 card combo. And then Cupid Pitch and Boros Savage are obviously what we're looking to end on. But ideally, without even committing to a normal summon with the Punk Engine, we're actually able to summon him as well as Appaloosa and end on a Fog Blade. So depending on what else we have in hand and things like that, they'll obviously change what we end on. But this is definitely what we're looking to do. So that's it for the main deck and the extra deck. Let's go ahead and get into the combos, and then we'll, like I said, we'll go ahead and we'll go over some of the lines and show you guys how to go from there. So let's go ahead and get into the first combo. We'll go ahead and start off with Tour Guide. I think that'll probably be the easiest one to start with because, again, you don't necessarily need a card in hand, but we'll always keep 1 card in hand just so that we have the option to discard with Torn Scales if that point comes, so I can showcase to you guys the full combo for this. So Tour Guide will normal summon. We'll activate Tour Guide's effect. We'll go ahead and get Graph. We'll link these 2 away, and we'll go ahead and make Cherubini. And then we'll go ahead and trigger Graph to get us our Surf from deck. Then we'll go ahead and trigger Cherubini, getting us a Phantom Knight name in the grave. Then we'll go ahead and link these 2 away and go into our Rusty Bardiche, the best card in the deck. Sir's ability will allow us to revive Cherubini. Then we'll go ahead and activate Rusty Bardiche. So this is still in hand. We'll go ahead and set Shade Brigandine, and we'll go ahead and send our Glorious Torn Scale. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to activate Cloak. We'll put the banish up here. We'll go ahead and grab ourselves a Boots. We're not going to trigger Torn Scale. We're going to go ahead and leave him engraved right now because we're going to end up bringing him back after. So we'll activate Shade, special summon Boots. We'll go ahead and link these 2 away for Soul D. I'm not sure how people pronounce that. On summon, I usually go ahead and I'll actually activate it. If we haven't used, or if we have the ability to search, why not just get a free card in hand? So we'll grab Kagamusha. Since we've already committed to our normal summon, we wouldn't be using this till next turn, so it does give us the ability to follow up. Then we'll go ahead and activate the ability. We'll go ahead and send Water the Water Arabesque to get Renaud. Renaud's effect will go ahead and equip. We'll activate to special summon 1 from the deck. We'll go ahead and get Mikanko. Then this will equip. Then we'll activate this effect. He'll go back to hand. Then we'll get the Fire Dance. Then we'll go ahead and special summon. He'll become a tuner. We'll go ahead and link these 2 away. Get ourselves Cupid. We'll go ahead and use Cupid's effect to make it a level 5. Now you do want to make sure you link these 2 away because we're going to need a link monster engraved for Savage. So we'll go ahead and make Appaloosa with 2. If you had an additional body, let's say we started off with Tour Guide and Kakamusha, then it would be 3. But we'll go ahead and get it for 2. Then we'll go ahead and activate Fire Dance. We'll go ahead and get this back. We'll link these 2 away. And then we'll go ahead and make our Savage. Savage effect, we'll go ahead and trigger. We'll grab this, equip, and we're also going to activate Cupid. So we usually, obviously set up a chain. So we have 2 targets. This is the great thing about it as well. We do have access to Tracker, so we are able to actually get back Tracker, or we are actually able to grab Staingreaves. They're both 600 defense monsters. I would generally go for Staingreaves since we do already have the Torn Scale still engraved. So it allows us to be able to not have to pitch a card. So now that we have that, we'll go ahead and banish. And we'll get ourselves a trap. Then we'll go ahead and trigger Torn Scale to summon. Then we'll go ahead and special summon Ragged Gloves. So at this point, I mean, we can obviously pitch a card if we wanted to out of hand to set up our gloves in the grave. That way we have a banishment. We can put a Fog Blade in the grave for Break Sword. We'll overlay these 2. Break Sword, pop. Go ahead and activate Break Sword. Bring these 2 back. Go ahead and as level 4s. Overlay them for Nightmare. So you have the option to do Nightmare or IP Masquerena. All depends on the matchup or what you want to blind into. That's it. So we're able to end on just 1 card. It gets us to Boral Savage, Appaloosa with 2 counters, and a Nightmare, Evil Swarm Nightmare, as well as a Fog Blade set. Well, it's in our hand, but we're going to go ahead and set it. So that's definitely a great combo. I do like it a lot. Obviously, if we have the, like I said, if we have the Kagamusha, we are able to actually make Appaloosa a 3 counter Appaloosa instead of a 2, which is very nice. And then of course, Evil Swarm Nightmare just deals with so much. Fortunately, he's probably one of the most, he's vulnerable to Eclipse, obviously. So IP Masquerena sometimes could be the better option, depending on the matchup. But yeah, great card, great combo. So let's go ahead and get into the P.U.N.K combo next. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the P.U.N.K engine now. So we're gonna be using the P.U.N.K engine to go ahead and facilitate this combo. And like I said, this one's a 1.5 card starter because we do have to have a card to send with Foxy Tune. If you do have a Phantom Knight, that just makes the combo line a whole lot easier, just because of the fact that we are going to have to send Cherubini. With Cherubini, we are going to have to send Graf to get Sir, since we're not obviously getting it through Tour Guide. So ideally, if you do have a Phantom Knight, this was just a random card I grabbed. Let's just say you have any Phantom Knight name. Hopefully it's a Torn Scale or a Cloak, but we'll go ahead and do Cloak. Cloak is usually the most optimal one we want to see with this package or this line. So we'll go ahead and E-Telly, get out our Zeaman. Zeaman's effect to search. We'll go ahead and grab Foxy Tune. Foxy Tune effect, we'll go ahead and activate the ability, pitch to summon. Then we're going to go ahead and link these 2 away, or synchro those 2 away for Dragon Drive. Then we're going to go ahead and do, obviously, our chain links 1, 2, 3, so that we can chain block properly. So we're going to go ahead and use Deer Note to bring back Zeaman. Then we're going to go ahead and use Dragon Drive. This is going to get us a Psychic monster. So you don't want to grab Tracker, because you do want to make sure that you have access to Tracker in the event that he's your only searchable monster for Cupid. So we'll go ahead and special summon that, link these 2 away for Cherubini. Cherubini's ability will go ahead and get us a Graf to Grave, Sir to Field. And then we'll go ahead and link these 2 away. Forever grabbing the deck. For Bardiche, then we're going to go ahead and trigger Sir's ability to bring back Cherubini. Then we're going to go ahead and activate Bardiche effect. So same as before, we're going to go ahead and go through our line here for Soul. We're going to grab this. And then we're going to go ahead and send Torn Scale. Then we're going to go ahead and trigger Cloak. So in the event you didn't have the Cloak, we would be sending Cloak here. So that way we had access to boots. So if you don't have obviously a Phantom Knight name or a different Phantom Knight name, then, obviously you would just send the Cloak. So we'll go ahead and activate this, special summon this. Link these 2 away for Soul. So same as last time, we'll activate Soul. And then we'll go ahead and grab whatever we didn't summon this turn. So we can grab Kagamusha Knight. You can grab a Phantom Knight name. So obviously if you didn't summon a Phantom Knight, let's say we don't hit Torn Scales, you can always just grab Torn Scales so that you have it for next turn. But generally I go for the Kagamusha Knight because obviously we want to make sure that we see the Torn Scales. So we'll go ahead and use Soul's effect. Like before, send this, go ahead and summon Renaud. Then we'll go ahead and equip effect, get Mikanko sword. Then we'll go ahead and bounce this. This will equip to that. And then we'll go ahead and get the Fire Dance. So we'll have these 3 in hand. And then at this point, we can go ahead and we can link these 3 away. I like to do the 3 Apple just because of the fact that otherwise they can just summon Fenrir and attack over it. At least at this point, they're even. So you can just Fog Blade if need be. So then we'll go ahead and special summon this. Go ahead and make it a tuner. Synchro those 2 away. Same as before for Cupid. Cupid's effect to make it a level 5. Then we'll go ahead and Fire Dance to bring back our Mikanko. Link these two away, or synchro these two away. For Boral Savage. 1-2. Go ahead and search. We'll target the Renaud. And then we'll go, or Cherubini, and then we'll go ahead and search for our Greaves. So again, same as before, we'll go ahead and banish for Boots to add a Fog Blade. Then we'll go ahead and trigger our Torn Scale, trigger our Greaves, overlay these two for our Break Sword, effect to pop, effect to bring 2 back, and then we'll go ahead and overlay them for Evil Storm Nightmare. So again, I mean, we've already discarded, we've gone through basically our entire hand, and we're going to be plussing by the end of it, or at least going even, because we've gotten 2 cards back in hand, so the E-Telly and the random card that we discarded. So yeah, we're back at 5 cards in hand without using anything additional. So obviously the great thing about these lines is that if your opponent does interact with you at some point, you do obviously would hope to have additional extenders in the other cards that you have in hand. The Tour Guide one is obviously a little bit scarier, just because the fact that it is just as easy to deal with in terms of stopping it, just like Xiamen. But Xiamen is a special summon, so that's what makes it less scary, because you're not committing your normal summon to it. So if they do interact or they are able to remove your monsters, then obviously you're losing less. But with this, ideally, I like it because, again, you're able to do as much as you can without committing too many cards from your hand, which means that if your opponent does find a way to interrupt you, then obviously you don't have to, use so many cards, and you have other cards to combo with. And as you can see, we go through our extra deck pretty heavily in this combo. We have just enough next turn to pretty much be able to recycle a few things, get a pop, go to access code line, have access to Zeus, IP Masquerena. Obviously, we could have went into Over Nightmare, but we're literally left with 3 monsters in our extra deck. So it does take up quite a bit of monsters in order for us to facilitate this combo, but it is very strong. I mean, as you can see, we're ending on whatever it is we open up plus this. I mean, we can open up an Eclipse, another Fog Blade, or what have you. So that's generally what we're going through. And the lines are very generic for anyone who's not familiar with the common lines that we go through with this deck. I mean, generally, we're just looking to pretty much see 2 level 3s and climb up through Cherubini to get Graph, Sir, and then to revive. Because generally, if we weren't going into Savage, ideally, we would just be looking to go into like Cherubini, IP Masquerena, pretty much whatever gets us to where we need to get to. So I'll just do a quick example. That way, for those who aren't familiar with the regular combo, we'll just grab 1 name and 1 any extender. So we normal special. We'll go ahead and link these 2 away for Cherubini. Cherubini effect. So generally, we're always going to be looking to send Graph so that we can get back Sir, because we do want to recycle the Cherubini to go into Appaloosa. Appaloosa is a very great card to end on. But unfortunately, if you aren't able to do so, you can send another Phantom Knight name. And then we want to go ahead and link these 2 away for our Bardiche. So obviously, we're always looking to get into Bardiche. And then Sir is going to bring back Cherubini. Then we're going to activate this ability. So if you don't need the additional extender for the trap monster, you can just set a Fog Blade. Go for a Cloak effect. You can banish, add to hand, get our Boots. Go ahead and summon our Torn Scale. Go ahead and special summon our Boots. And then we can overlay for Levier effect. Go ahead and bring back Cloak. Get Cloak, activate Cloak effect, give them a boost, and then we can go into Appaloosa. So it's kind of like the generic line. I mean, obviously we could also do, just summon Break Sword, have it pop. If we have another card in hand, we could actually do it that way instead. Where if we open like a Fog Blade, we can use Torn Scales to actually discard Fog Blade to send another monster. So that way we can actually, just overlay them for Levier, use the other monster to bring back. So that if you have another level 3, then you're able to just go ahead and go into Break Sword. So you end on Appo and something else. So depending on the type of extenders that you see, the normal generic line, we're pretty much climbing from Cherubini into Bardiche for this line. That's pretty much ideally what we're looking for. Everything else is pretty much just additional options. And then, of course, depending on what you decide to play in your extra deck will allow you to basically, decide on what you end on. So, but yeah, this is ideally what we're looking to do. This is the goal of the deck, is basically to climb through Cherubini to Bardiche, because that gives us the maximum value. So that's why I think call by is very important. There is also another way where you are able to actually be able to play around hand traps so that you can try to protect your Bardiche. Unfortunately, Imperm will get you every single time. But if we are doing this with our normal combo, let's just say we have these two, we can always Italy, bring out the Xiamen effect to search, get its Foxy and this to discard to bring out Deer Note. We'll go ahead and link these two for Dragon Jam effect, get our search and special summon Xiamen. For this example, we're just gonna grab Tracker, and then we'll go ahead and we will bring out the Xiamen special, link these two away for Cherubini effect. We'll go ahead and, since we of course didn't get access to a normal summon on this is why it's important, if you do have that additional extender and you know your opponent's playing Nib or you know your opponent's playing Ash, it's better to just go about it this way, because normally your pinches are going to be Graph and the Bardiche. Those are your pivotal points where your opponent can stop you from being able to go through with your full combo. So now we get to this point, we can actually just go ahead and make an Apple. And I would recommend making the Apple on the left side, just because of the fact that we want to summon Bardiche here, so it points in this direction. And then we'll go ahead and activate Sir to bring back Cherubini. And then if you have a normal summon for a Dark, then you just go ahead and normal summon your Dark. And then you can go through your entire line the same way. So Bardiche effect, get this, send an additional name. We'll go ahead and send the Ragged Gloves, Boots for Cloak for Boots. Go ahead and, we don't have to bring back the Torn Scale right now. We can go ahead and use these two for Soul. So summon, Soul. And then we'll go ahead and use Soul Effect, get ourselves Kagamusha, and then go ahead and get Renaud by sending the, and then effect, equip, effect. We'll get Sword. This will bounce back to hand. It'll summon this, equip, and then we'll go ahead and get another search. Get the Fire Dance. We'll go ahead and special. Then we'll go ahead and do these two for Cupid. It doesn't matter what side, make it a level 5. The interesting thing here too is that at any point you can also use Cupid and make it a level 3. So if you don't want to go into Savage, let's say for example you're going second and they do end up ripping your Boro Savage, you can actually use Cupid as a level 3. So you can use these same lines to get these cards out of your deck, make him a level 3, and then just go ahead and get an extender. The only difference is Cupid will not search unless you use it for a synchro. So you won't get the additional body off of it going off the field if you use it for an XYZ, but you can make it a level 3. This does have the ability to burn as well, so it is great in time. But yeah, it has to be the level of the synchro monster. So you don't get the search, you don't get the burn effect. If you do make it a level 3 and use it for an XYZ, but that is an option. So that's definitely something to be aware of. But yeah, you'll go ahead and do that. Use the Fire Dance, bring back your dude. Since it's a level 5, then we'll go ahead and synchro these two away. Synchro as I look through the deck. Boro Savage effect, and Cupid's effect. We'll go ahead and equip Cherubini, and then we'll go ahead and search for this. And then same as last time, banish the boots, Fog Blade, summon Torn Scale. So the only difference in this is that Soul will actually be stuck on the board, but ideally, I mean, this is just as good in my opinion. Summon this. Because we got our 5 slots, so we can go ahead and overlay these 2 for Breaksword. Breaksword to pop, bring them back, and then we can go ahead and make Nightmare. So I mean, ideally you do end with the additional body on board. Sometimes going into IP sometimes could be a little bit better just because of the fact that we have kind of a floater. But yeah, this is definitely another way of you being able to do the line, because Appaloosa will protect you from hand traps if you know your opponent is playing a lot of hand traps. I do prefer this direction, but of course this does require you to have to open up a dark, and it is usually best for you to be able to open up a Phantom Knight Dark if you're going to go this route, just because of the fact that without the additional name and getting access to Torn Scale, it does make it a little bit more complicated, because that is the problem with doing it with the Italy line, is that you never get access to Torn Scale because Cherubini does have to send Graph and Sir. But yeah, that's it for the deck. I wanted to showcase for you guys. Hope you guys enjoy the combo. Hope everything was self-explanatory. Definitely go ahead and jump in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think. Show me your formula or your takes on the deck so that we can go over it. I mean, definitely always interested in hearing what you guys have to say in regards to the combos, in regards to the different techs, as well as the options that you guys are considering as well. You know, and of course, I have been considering actually doing some different content. I do want to actually post up some more meta related decks. I have been playing Branded, which I've actually been enjoying quite a bit. So I do want to actually showcase my build for branded that I have been playing. Let me know if you guys are certainly interested. I definitely don't mind sharing more meta relevant builds or meta relevant decks, because I normally don't play meta decks. I do enjoy playing my Fatal Knights, but you know, I'm trying to at least accommodate to the meta and try to play something a little bit different. And again, I've been enjoying it. So, you know, if you guys are interested, definitely let me know. I'll showcase that as well. I won't stop me from making content for Fatal Knights, because I do enjoy this deck way too much. And I do enjoy brewing, you know, different builds and things like that, and showing you guys my take and formula on the builds. So yeah, definitely let me know what you guys think. And, you know, as always, like, subscribe, and continue to support. Appreciate you guys.